Hey everybody, welcome back to Two Comic Book Dudes. Today is Valiant Day. It's been a while. We have had some delays in getting everything together for Valiant, but we're going to get you caught up. We've got like 6 weeks worth of Valiant books we're going to run through, give you all the rundown on everything we can do, and hopefully you aren't completely confused by the time we get done.
Hopefully, we give you a better idea of what these books are.
Yes,
In
that's right.
case you're about to jump into the Valiant universe.
Yep, and there are some great jumping on points, and we'll talk about those as we go through. So I'm Aaron Clutter, editor-in-chief of Comic Booked, and with me as always.
Hey everybody, Justin Patchett, managing editor over at Comic Book.
Yep, in our website, comicbook.com, definitely check that out. We've got Thursday's Valiant Effort running on that site since December of 2013. So we've gone back all the way back to there and reviewed all the books since then. So this catch-up will get us back August and September, get us caught up really through this past week, past Wednesday. And we'll have a new one. We'll try to get done Thursday of this week for the couple books that are coming out this week. So
because we don't want to get behind.
No, not again.
We just read like 19 books, it seems like.
Yes.
That was a chore.
Yep.
So reading them weekly when there's only like 2 to 4 is much better.
Yeah, even a month wouldn't have been so bad, but we got like a month and a half. It's just too much. So, but we do have some cool stuff for you. Bring up our little slideshow and show you all the covers. We do this every week, every time we have the show. So, should be every week.
We'll just say every week.
Yeah. So Thursday's Valiant Effort. It's the name of our show. If you ever want to look for it, if you go out and just search on our site, Valiant Effort, you should find all our articles. We start off with 2 great books, Bloodshot Reborn, number 5, and this is continuing his Ray Garrison's travels with Bloodsquirt and Kay. Bloodsquirt is this little animated character who's kind of a mini version of Bloodshot.
The funny voice in his head.
Yeah. And then Kay is a former Geomancer who he failed to save in the Valiant miniseries. And she's still with him. She's kind of he's like the devil on his shoulder, and Bloodsquirt is, and then Kay is like the angel on his shoulder, sort of. But I don't know, with this... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, so far it's been a great series. It's been, it's not a normal Valiant book, I don't think. It's a little bit different than the rest of them. So
Yeah, for sure. One of the things with this one, this book especially is about the internal struggle, I think, for Ray, because he doesn't want to lose his humanity, but he doesn't want... So, long story short, the nanites were removed from his body during the Valiant miniseries, and they've kind of spread out all over the place, and they found these different victims to infect. Mm-hmm. And the people who are infected are going off and killing people. That's bottom line. So he feels responsible because he's the one who, controlled the nanites before, and so he thinks he's the only one who can do it now. So he's going after each of these infected people, killing them, taking the nanites back into his body, which he knows is going to remove his own humanity. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of sad, but he knows that he has to do that. So in this, he's battling against that whole... the nanites are inside of him, leading him on to the next one, but he doesn't want to lose humanity and blah, 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 blah. So he's got this girl, Magic, with him, who he saved from her crazy infected boyfriend. And she's kind of latched onto him as, her savior, and she's following along. So he tries to get rid of her, I think, in this issue and in next issue. So... Yep. Well, and we'll cover 6 here in just a little while. So this one we can kind of spoil. In the end, even though Bloodsquirt's pushing him and Kay is pushing him to kill, mm-hmm. he just wants to be a good man.
Right.
Jeff Lemire and Raul Allen do a great job on this series. Really, really like the artwork in this one. I love the moons. And the red bloodshot symbol. It's all through this book, and it's all through number 6 too. So it's pretty cool. Yep. Anything else you want to say about this one?
No, pretty straightforward. I mean, good book. Continuing the series.
Yep, definitely. So Imperium 7. This was out several weeks ago. So we're gonna spoil the crap out of these books if you guys.
Yeah, the first few here that we talk about, we're just gonna run through them.
So this is Divinity versus Harada. Last issue we had the beginning of that battle, and this one really have the battle come to, the main meat of it. Although 8 covers the battle too. We'll talk about that in a little while.
Yeah, it was like in 6 that Divinity just kind of like showed up.
Yep, and gave everybody their little paradise.
Right.
Harada immediately revolted against the whole paradise idea. But this one, he's hopping around. Basically, Divinity's pushing him around at different times to keep him disoriented, and it's pretty interesting. The one thing I really liked from this book was at one point Divinity says to Harada, and Divinity is this guy, the little red and white guy there at the bottom, who's was a Russian cosmonaut. Yep, traveled off into space to the edges of reality and found some weird power. The other cosmonauts were killed, and then he returned to Earth with basically the power to alter reality, which is pretty cool. And it's not just like Harada can do, inside your mind. It's actually reality.
He can make different. It all. Yeah,
it's pretty cool. But he says to Harada, "You make me teach you lessons, but I do not wish to be anyone's teacher." So it's an interesting, it's just interesting. I think Divinity wants to stay out of this, empire building, fix the world kind of stuff that Harada wants. So it's interesting.
Yeah, no, art's really great too.
Getting
better. So just the design of Divinity himself is really cool. The way they incorporated it, they make it look just a little bit like overblown in some places, but I really like it.
Oh yeah, for sure. So this is a good one. If you haven't been reading this, I would definitely go back and pick up 6, because 6, 7, 8 kind of go together in a little story arc. But it's good. It's a good series. This is probably one of the harder ones to jump into, I would think.
Imperium. Yeah.
Without that background, it's difficult. But okay, we'll jump on Unity 21. This is continuing the Warmonger thing. You want to talk about this one?
No, go ahead. Let's see. I can pull it up. I gotta remember. I gotta look at stuff. Hold on.
Yeah, I made a bunch of notes, so I was good. So in this one, really, Warmonger is this woman who existed a long time ago, and she seems to be the catalyst for a lot of the wars and a lot of conflict between different peoples throughout history. And at different points in time, the Unity Squad or Unit Y or whatever they were called down through history have tried to stop her, and they've imprisoned her sometimes, but never been able to completely destroy her. In this case, Warmonger is taking on Gilad, the Eternal Warrior. And it's really a pretty cool conflict because all she does is talk and talk and talk. And
she's just basically giving her history of, I've run into teams of you people before, blah, blah, blah,
Very cocky, very much like, you can't beat me. I know that's not going to happen. So in the end of this, the funny thing is Gilad's whole mission was just to bait her, take up her time, and then let her go. So that she could go on to whatever Neville Alcott has set up for her, ultimately to capture her. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and they talked also a little bit about how they would use her. Like once she was captured in the past, they would drop her into situations where maybe they wanted a war to happen.
Oh yeah, like Vietnam.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah. So pretty good book. It continue. I'm, still not a huge fan of the Warmonger character.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I don't know. The character just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, a lot of the roughness, the language. I mean, she, like, every other word is cuss word, so it's like, really, especially in the whole. And I guess that makes her different from every other Valiant character. It's pretty interesting. But
it's also weird the art style change. Like when she's talking in this book, when she's talking about the past, the art is completely different than the current setting with her and Gilad.
That's true. Yeah,
so that was kind of weird.
Yeah. All right, X-O 39, new story arc, Exodus, Part 1. A great jumping off point right now for this book. If you're interested in picking up X-O Manowar, it's a cool sci-fi series with a lot of, relationship kind of stuff, and it's really good. X-O
taking a little break from. We got rid of all the Dead Hand and everything else that was coming after him. So yeah,
yep, all the armor hunters and all that stuff. Although in what we talk about this week, armor hunters does get mentioned, so that's kind of interesting. But anyway, that's later. So So Dead Hand kind of killed the Vine planet, the Vine home planet of Loam. So the Vine have now come to Earth to try to find a place to live, and they want to live on Earth. X-O has vowed to protect the Vine, and now that they seem to be good people, but there's some things working in the background that could make this really not go well. The Vine did try to invade a couple years ago, and X-O stopped them. So now the humans are really freaking out. Hey, there's aliens, bugs again. Kill them, kill them, kill them. And just some stuff happens in this book that's the one soldier kind of has like a PTSD thing going on, and basically runs his ship his airplane right into their ship, and crashes it. So now all these Vine are injured. The other Vine are going, this is an act of war. So it's not a good situation. Yeah.
It's gone. Like I said, it's the beginning of a new story, so it's still just kind of getting going, and we're seeing where it's going to take us.
Yep. So. Robert Venditti, I really like his stuff. Would love to get him on the show sometime and talk about X-O. So,
talk about a lot of books with Robert Venditti.
Yeah, for sure. All right, now we get into Book of Death and Legends of the Geomancer. So this is issue 2 for both of these. Book of Death number 2 was pretty interesting. Gilad's still protecting the girl Tama, who is the new Geomancer, but she really seems to only be one half of the Geomancer this time. She's like the good half, and then there's the boy.
He's the bad half.
Patrick or Peter or whatever.
I can't remember his name.
He's definitely the corrupted side of things. What I loved about this book was that they pulled a villain out that I was like, oh, I remember him, because we talked about him like earlier this year. Master Dark shows himself as the big bad guy. So that was pretty cool, because Master Dark was from Shadow Man. And I think he made an appearance in the Shadow Man End Times, I think was the book. And he had actually been released by Shadow Man because he was trying to find his father. So he'd made a deal with Master Dark and had ended up releasing him. So that's cool for him to show up as the bad guy. He's the one trying to corrupt the boy and make him the evil Geomancer. And that's what kind of lays in all of the future. So depending on what happens with their battle with Master Dark, this future that we're talking about in like the other Book of Death for each of the characters may not happen.
Right.
We'll never know.
They could just be what ifs.
Could be. I love the artwork. Really, really good stuff. Doug Braithwaite does some awesome work. Robert Venditti again writing this. It's excellent.
Yeah. And it continues, he's still at odds with the Unity team because they're trying to get the girl back, and he's got to protect her.
He beat the crap out of him
again. So, good book.
Yep. And Legends of the Geomancer number 2. Juan Jose Reap again doing an awesome job. His art is amazing. Really, really, really cool. And he actually showed up doing some art on some other stuff this month. So we'll talk about those as we move forward. But Fred Van Lente writing this. It's a good story. It's just really different, and it's kind of the origin of the Geomancer and the origin of some of the other characters in the universe as we're moving. We're hearing some little things,
Yeah, this takes, this book, if you haven't read it and haven't been able to pick it up, because it is, it's hard for some shops to be able to get this book. It does take place. It's like the origin story of the first Geomancer, and so we're back in like barbarian days. You know?
Way back when.
If you like the first Conan movie, the real Conan movie, not the remake with Momoa, you'd like this place.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right. So let's go on.
Okay.
Ivar number 8 and Rye number 9. Ivar number 8. This is pretty good. We're getting to the end of the storyline of like the end of everything. Neela.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Neela. I wrote all the names down this time so I'd remember.
Good job.
So Ivar and his crew of the ship, that's Gilad, Armstrong, and Amelia Earhart. She's flying.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
They basically crash right into Oblivion 1, which is the ship at the end of the universe in front of a black hole. And it's Neela's future self who's trying to bring about the end of everything. and seems to succeed in this book.
Seems to, yes.
Yeah. So Ivar disappears with a big flash of light at the end of it, and it's like, interesting.
Yes, it is. It leads directly into the next issue.
Which we'll get to in just a couple slides. So, but yeah, it's definitely good. I mean, this may not be the best jumping on point for this book. The next issue will be, but this is a good series. It's really a good story so far. So
it really is. I mean, I can't remember what issue I jumped on with, like, since we've been doing this. I know I missed the first couple issues.
Yeah,
but I've really enjoyed this issue just because of the series, because you got the interaction between the brothers and how how they treat each other and stuff like that. So I like that. That's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. So yeah, it's sad to see Ivar disappear. Whether he dies or whatever happens there. But it's cool. The next issue is pretty cool. So we'll get to that in a minute.
Yep.
Rye number 9. I love Rye. The artwork is amazing. Clayton Crane does a great job. Matt Kent's writing the story, and the story is so good. It hasn't let up. 9 issues in, and I'm still like, oh, what's going to happen? This is a new story arc, so a great place for people to jump on. All the stuff that's happened before. Rye is like the savior of Japan, the protector of Japan.
He's like the right hand man of the father,
right? So the creator and developer of Japan. So it's interesting because later on, another book that we read that we talks about the creation of Japan, the floating city that exists in Rye, New Japan. But Rye is like a creation from the nanites, so he's kind of got the Bloodshot stuff there, plus some live wire, all that kind of stuff together.
Supposed to be like half human, half robot, so like a cyborg type guy. And this does take place in the year 4001.
Right. So now, as of issue 8, Rye was down to Earth. So Japan floats over Earth, blasting its exhaust down and kind of scorching the Earth. Rye crashed down in this giant shark thing, flying shark thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. So this issue, he makes some new friends.
It ends with that, yes.
Yeah. Well, really, the focus of this
issue
is about Lula. That's okay. Lula, Grace, and the new Geomancer, who they call Karana. Right?
She didn't know her name.
Right. So they just make up a name for her. But they found her in Japan. She was shackled by father and being held basically to control New Japan. So they've released her, and they're kind of helping her. They're hiding in between the different sectors. So Lula has her little passageways that she knows. So they're really just trying to figure out what's going to happen now that Rye's gone. Who's going to protect this? Who's going to protect New Japan?
Yep.
It's pretty interesting. And the whole Spylock thing, I think it's neat because in the next couple issues, the next couple of books that we talk about, there's so many things that tie together with some of the stuff going on in Rye. Because Rye's in the future and these things are in the past, and they're going, oh, here's this, and oh, that's what that is. And so we find out about Spylock and kind of where he comes from. We find out about a couple other things there too. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah. And Father's new body, we get to see him.
Oh, that's right. It's is that the Rye 11 or?
That
12,
was the
something like that,
or something like that. Yeah, but it's just huge black and red robot guy. It's awesome.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Father put his mind into it, and you have to wonder, the whole thing in the past with Silk and all that stuff that happened. If this and Silk's shown up in Rye, but then you have to wonder who is Father.
Yeah,
is that
it hasn't been revealed? Like it could be someone.
Could be Harada.
Yeah, it could be.
You never know. So it's very interesting.
It could be Divinity.
It could be. Yep. All right. So moving on. Book of Death, Fall of Ninjak. This was an excellent book. I really liked this because this gives us an insight into who Spylock is and kind of where he came from.
Oh yeah, and that's what we get at the end is floating Japan. Okay, I got you.
Yep. So it's pretty cool.
Sorry, it's just a picture though, so nothing.
Oh no, that's all right because this was still August. So, but yeah, Ninjak faces Livewire kind of for their last showdown, but it's revealed that that's not really Livewire. She actually died a while ago, and this is a robot body that Harada put her mind into because he felt bad that she died. So that was kind of interesting.
Now this is 100 years in the future, so Ninjak is super
Right.
old.
Yep. But he can still fight like you wouldn't believe.
That's
so
right.
That's pretty cool. And in the end, she comes with Ginger, the big robot, to fight him, and he stops them both. And then takes over Ginger. Or no, he has Ginger, right?
He had Ginger on his side.
That's right.
Yeah,
He did.
He was hiding Ginger like the whole time.
And uses her to try to stop the launch of New Japan, because Livewire's created New Japan, launching it off into space and or into the atmosphere, or whatever. And so it's kind of interesting because Ginger goes and tries to stop it on the suicide mission, and really doesn't succeed in stopping it. But it was cool. It was an interesting book. We find out about the Spylocks that he created, all of these different, they're not created, but he trained all these people to be, Ninjak successors. And he calls them Spylocks.
Right.
Yep. So that's pretty interesting, because then we know Spylock from the 4001 from Rai came from that long line of people. And he talks about that in the next issue, so we'll get to that too. Pretty cool stuff.
We also kind of get like a teaser maybe for Eternal Warriors Book of Death book with what happens with him, with Gilad in this, when he just kind of jumps somewhere and disappears.
Yep.
So
into a volcano.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. All right. So Matt Kent's writing that. It's excellent. Artwork was really good in that one. It's pretty cool.
Yep. It's just a one shot. So if you want to pick it up, you got a whole self-contained story right there.
Yep. And we don't know, again, how this is going to really impact them. If it's actually going to happen, or if it's a story now and then they're going to say, oh, that didn't happen because something else happens in Book of Death to wipe these futures
to change the future. Yeah.
Who knows? All right. Dead Drop number 4 is our next one. This is the finale of this series, the mini-series. Alice Cott's writing it. It's good. We had a problem with the first issue, kind of couldn't get into it, but then 2 and 3 were pretty interesting, and 4 leads us right into kind of the wrap-up. The character here on the cover is Detective Kajudo, and she is trying to hunt down this virus. So she figured out that there was a problem, that Neville Alcott, who was running the 2 kids who were looking for the virus, was not really the real Neville Alcott. He was actually a bug vine person and trying to do something bad. I don't know Vine, but some alien. And so she finds the virus. She also finds X-O and Archer. Both of them were captured. And this whole big infected alien guy, and she convinces him to cleanse everybody from the virus, and then destroys the virus, and then everybody's happy and goes on. That's pretty much it. In exchange for the death of the alien, because the alien wanted to die. He realized that punishing everybody for something that happened to him wasn't right, so and he was in a lot of pain.
Ready to die.
Yep. But it was good. It was a pretty good series, worth picking up if you like kind of the interaction between Archer and X-O Manowar. Is kind of 2 different sides of the same coin, but pretty interesting.
Yeah, issue 2 was my favorite of the series.
Yeah, issue 2 was good. I liked the Archer stuff. That was excellent. Yep. All right, moving on to Ninjak number 6. This was good. I liked this one.
Yeah. Here we go.
Colin has taken over Weaponeer. He's basically making weapons and selling them to all these bad people all over the world, but he's making weapons with faults. So he's making it look like, they just had some kind of, error, and they blow up, or they, the missiles go the wrong place. So that's probably the hardest part. Making the weapons wasn't hard, but making them with a fault that was undetectable was very difficult. So it's pretty cool. And in this one, he starts to hunt down the members of the Shadow 7. And the first one, Labarb, or Labarby, I guess Labarb, is who he has to fight. And Labarb is all about the tech stuff. So, Ninjak has his gadgets, and the battle between him and Labarb is pretty tough. Because in the end, Ninjak's got to give up every one of his gadgets in order to fight him. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, really enjoyed this book. I've been, a fan of Ninjak since it restarted, so it's always been a fun read.
Yeah, the artwork is great. Matt Kent's writing this one too, or Kint. I don't remember if we figured that one out.
Oh, this one?
How his last name's pronounced.
Joe, no. Mm-mm.
Okay, shoot. Anyway, so it's an excellent book, worth picking up. I really have liked Ninjak, like Justin was saying. I've liked Ninjak since the beginning of this series. It's been pretty cool. So, all right, Imperium number 8, Harada versus Divinity round 2. Just when Harada thinks that he's finally understanding everything, Divinity shows his true power, and Harada's like, well, I don't know what to do here.
Mm-hmm.
So
overpowered. I feel small.
Yeah, and it really comes down to the most powerful Psyot in the world is humbled, and he finally has to just go. Divinity says, when you learn that I cannot be used, then you'll be able to move on. And I thought that was pretty interesting because Harada is all about, hey, you got power, I want to use you, help me do this.
Right.
And he's not going to be used, so it's pretty cool. And then you kind of got two realizations. You've got Harada realizing that he can't use Imperium, or can't use Divinity, and you've got Kozol, who kind of realizes that he's the last line of defense against Harada, even though they're both bad guys. Harada is trying to do this, I'm going to create peace forcefully. I'm going to make things peaceful. And Kozol's kind of like, you just can't do that. You can't just force people to be peaceful. That's not going to work. So he says the one line that I like from Kozol, he says, a crown ain't nothing but a hat that lets the rain in.
Oh, yep.
I thought that was kind of cool.
That's a good one.
So Harada's new world really equals conflict for the sake of conflict. That's what Kozol sees. So it's pretty interesting. But the whole thing with Mech Major in this book, I love that at the end, that he opens up his chamber and Sasha's in there, one of the hardcore girls. Yeah. And we thought she died, but he saved her. Yeah. So that was really cool. But she has a secret that then bleeds into some of the other books as we're going forward. We'll talk about that. So her secret is she's a vine plant. So she's a human-looking person who's really a member of the vine. Mm-hmm. And she was placed there back before when the invasion was going on. So kind of interesting. And actually before that, because we'll talk about that, I think, in the next issue.
Sleeper issue. Or Sleeper?
Yeah. Sleeper agents.
Yeah.
So, all right, move on. Oh, yeah. So Imperium, this was excellent. This kind of ends out the arc. So I think 9 will be a great jumping on point for people to pick up and find out what's going on.
Right. And it's a different type of book because it's like two bad guy groups interacting and like fighting and stuff. So it's something that you really don't see from many other companies.
Yep. Really like it. X-O Manowar number 40. This is Exodus Part 2. So, now you can kind of see the cover illustrates this perfectly. X-O even says at one point, I am the man between two armies. Mm-hmm. That's his place at this point because he's vowed to protect the humans of Earth and the Vine, and now they're coming into conflict. So how does he deal with it? So what did you think about this one?
Oh, I liked it. Like you said, it was just a lot of conflict between the Vine and Earth trying to figure out what they're going to do about it, how they're going to mount their defense. We got several good standoff points between the two groups.
And the vine planting, the big reveal and the vine planting stuff was pretty cool. So the Commander Trill was the leader of the Vine that invaded Earth, that failed their invasion, and we thought he was dead. But at the beginning of this issue, we find out that there were two humans there who drug him off and protected him, and they are vine plantings, just like we found out about Sasha from Imperium. So we have more people, and they talk about how they were really the they've infiltrated the elite of the planet Earth, and they are in the ruling position, so they can make it a lot easier for the Vine to intermingle into Earth people and move in and not have problems. So, but Trill doesn't really want that. Trill wants conflict, so he kills the leader of the Vine plantings and he takes over. He says, "Hey, I'm the boss now." Yep. So, yeah. And then, so at the end, we find out that just how high, just how far down the rabbit hole goes, because there's members of the Vine plantings even in the Gate soldiers.
Yes,
and they have Sayana X-O's new wife in their sights. So they want war, and that's what's going to happen. So we'll see what happens in 41. See what the fires ignite.
Yep. The next issue is called Peace No More.
Yeah. So it
we'll
should be good.
With that.
And this is Robert Venditti, Rafa Sandoval. Really like the art in this. It's excellent. Just a great story. So a lot of tension. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then check number 7. It seems like we just had one the week before almost, but it was like a week or so different there. Juan Jose Reap does the artwork on this, and it's amazing. It's definitely a different tone than what we're seeing in Legends of the Geomancer. I kind of like that. And I was talking to one of the guys from our comic shop, and he was saying, it was interesting because it looks like the one is ink and pencils, and the other is like it's just a different format. So that's why it kind of looks different. But I like that. I thought that was pretty cool. This is another one of those stories of somebody who's
on a journey. It's like an origin story.
Yeah, seeking something. So it's I don't even know what the girl's name is. Do you?
I can't remember
because I looked all the way through the book. I couldn't find her name.
It doesn't say her name.
Yeah, but she's not happy.
She goes through. Let's just say when she's young, she sees something that would warp any young person's mind.
Yep.
So then she pretty much just goes on a path of like self-destruction until she's led somewhere where maybe she'll find some type of salvation or something.
Yep. So we won't ruin this one because this is one of the newer books, but definitely a very interesting story, worth picking up as Ninjak continues to hunt the Shadow 7, and the whole battle with her is pretty cool. And the artwork is just amazing.
Yeah.
The Lost Files are really, really good. This continues Colin's first mission, which is awesome. And now he finally makes it to the Undead Monks Monastery, which I think he made last issue. And then he just gets the crap kicked out of him. So it's really about the beginnings of his training to become Ninjak.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm seeing here. So pretty interesting. So if you think about if he trains at the Undead Monks Temple, then he actually trains with some of the members of the Shadow 7. So there's a lot more connection there than we've known in the past. So
everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, yep. So it's cool. But yeah, the Shadow Wars continue.
Mm-hmm.
Unity 22, I have like 2 lines of notes for this one. It's the end of the Warmonger. This storyline wraps up, and I had the end of the Warmonger for now.
But we get a character in here, Anchor.
Yep.
Anchor. Have we seen Anchor before?
We have. He had come in like with a group to try out to be part of Unity, and had been some of the kind of the cast-offs, but very interesting character. You get a little more background on him. Plays a very deep role in this issue.
Yes. Lots of pressure.
Excellent.
Lots of pressure.
Yeah. But it's really good. It's sad because in this book we do lose a member of Unity team, but they sacrifice themselves for a good thing. So it's pretty cool. Definitely worth picking up, though. It's not very often that a major character or that a character of a team like this dies. But we had one Harbinger.
Who isn't eternal or immortal or something.
Right. We had one Harbinger die, and now we've had one member of Unity die. So it's pretty sad, but it's good. Yep. It was good. Ivar 9, awesome. Is Ivar really gone? That's the question. And so just in case, Neela travels back in time, back to the beginning, back to even like right as the boon is being activated, which gives them all their immortality, and yanks Ivar out of the situation. And
right before he turns it on.
Right. Well, as he's turning it on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, is this why he's not immortal? Because he's talked about that before.
He was taken away from it, and the other ones were left with it. Yeah.
Right. So he doesn't even know if he's immortal, which has been a question that's been brought up before. So it's really interesting. But I think that's a cool part of this story as they're trying to solve the problems of that have been caused by the destruction of Oblivion 1 and the whole thing where the generator was taken back at the beginning of time to unravel everything.
Mhm.
So each universe is being collapsed on itself until there's just one null universe in the end where there was no Big Bang and there's nothing. So,
Yeah, and a lot of stuff's being mashed up through time and stuff. There's one
Yeah.
scene in here that's hilarious because Vikings are coming to attack,
right.
but they're all clown Vikings.
Viking clowns.
Instead of blowing their like war horns or their horns, they like have the honk nose. Oh man, it's hilarious. It's like insane clown posses coming to get you.
Yep. Although they don't look like they're really angry, but anyway. But yeah, my favorite part I think was the Dragon Legionnaires. That's hilarious. So, or Dinosaur Legionnaires. That's just
Oh yeah, that's toward the end there. That was
it's pretty cool. So, but yeah, Ivar. This is a good jumping on point because this is a new story arc. Worth picking up. You can get in and you kind of figure out what's going on because the inside page of this has a great previously in Ivar. So that's one thing I like about Valiant is every time you open a book, you can pretty much catch up on what's happened in the story so far.
Yeah, they do a good job of that at the beginning of each issue.
Yep. Last 2 books for this week, and then you can turn us off and move on to reading some of these. Rye number 10. This is amazing. Still continuing the great artwork of Clayton Crane, the great writing of Matt Kint. I think it's Kint. Rye, we knew he fell to Earth. We didn't know if he died or survived or not. We kind of figured out in the last episode or last issue that he survived. As a big shark thing cushioned his fall, I guess. But he's kind of messed up.
Yeah, he's not healing that fast.
No. Well, he's lost his connection to Japan, which was really the source of his ability to heal and do what he needed to do. So in this one, it's interesting because he finds these people find him and take him back, and they start questioning him. And there's the one big guy, Lemur, who can sniff whether he's good or bad, and he actually sniffs him. And it's so funny because I like Lemur. He's like one of my favorite characters now.
Oh yeah.
But just kind of a big, dumb, lummox that has this ability to know right and wrong, good and bad. So pretty cool. But they point him to this tree, and the tree has big significance because it looks like a tree from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he goes to it, they tell him about this warrior who made his last stand there against Father and had been killed. And then this tree grew, and Rye finds a sword in the tree, and the leaves of the tree come down, and they go on to his hurt, and they heal it. So it's pretty cool. Just really a neat, just some neat thing that we'll have to find out what that was all about. If that was another Rye, because we know there have been previous versions who have been destroyed. Mm-hmm. So pretty cool. Right. And we get some background on Spylock too.
Yeah, it jumps back and forth between what's going on with Rye down on Earth and what's still going up in New Japan. We've also got Rye and Lemur go off to find an island to where they can, potentially find some warriors to help bring down New Japan.
The Warrior Eternal.
Yes. Who could that be?
I don't know.
Who could that be?
Not who we thought it was.
Well, no, we haven't found him yet.
So. Well, right. They find somebody, but it's not somebody who we thought it was going to be.
But that person then tells them where to find Eternal, but there's some other issues that happen at the end there. So you have to read it to find out.
Yep. They find that old friend. So somebody we didn't expect to see again, which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. I like the Kill Games version 8.1 that Spylock's involved in. So instead of just executing him, they're throwing him into this big positronic robot battle fest. Normally humans don't fight in there, but Spylock is wiping the boards with them. So it's pretty cool. We know that he's the last of Ninjak's trainees, a long line of descendants from that. And he's actually created these vids, the little cartoons that have been training people subconsciously all this time. So he's like, there may be hundreds of new me's out there.
Right.
Or I could be the last one, he says. So
but he said it kicks in, like if he dies, then
it'll activate.
It'll activate him. So
pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I like this one. Rise is one of my favorite books really right now. And Bloodshot Reborn. I mean, those 2 books I love. Now, Bloodshot Reborn number 6. This is a new arc. So this is a great jumping on point again. You got there on the cover, Bloodshot and Magic. And the last few, the skull people there are the last few of the nanite infected people that he's hunting. So there's a couple meanings for the hunt. I think it's kind of interesting in this book because he's hunting for the nanites, and the nanites are hunting to merge with their own, with themselves again. But then there's something else doing some hunting in this book. So it's pretty cool.
Yep, like you said, this is, again, he goes back and forth between whether he should leave magic or take him with her, and the conflict there.
Yep, that internal struggle, and so you'll have to read it to see what he finally decides to do. I liked the resolution of that. The art in this one, again, those red moons. There's way more in this one as he seems to get closer and closer to the next person that he's hunting. The moons show up way more often, so that's kind of cool. But all I can say is no more blood squirt, and the hunt continues.
With a new twist.
Yep. Definitely an excellent series. Now, all of these books available hopefully at your local comic shop. If not, you find them online. Valiant stuff is awesome. The one thing I like about it is you could usually find them for cover price weeks after they've been released. They're there. If you find these guys at a convention, you can get books at the convention. You can get the trades and the deluxe hardcovers, which are really cool. So next time we have some free stuff to give away, I'll let you know. We're trying to get some plushies I think they're going to send us, and some other things. They just haven't sent them out yet. So as soon as we get those, we'll do some more giveaways.
Yep. That was great.
So, hopefully you liked all these books this week. I'm sorry, Justin.
No, I was just saying, I was going to say the same thing. If you haven't read any Valiant, hopefully this kind of gives you a taste. We give you a good sampling and a couple books of each series. It seems like really in this review.
Yeah.
So and with the new jumping on points, I can't say enough about Valiant and the way they're taking their company and moving it. It seems like it's a really good direction. Yeah,
definitely better than what was happening back in the 90s. I think if you were soured on Valiant from the 90s, this is definitely a new company, new ideas, new stories. So it's good. I mean, same characters in a lot of senses, but they've really done a lot more with the characters, I feel like, in this new series. If you loved Valiant in the 90s, pick it up now because it's definitely worth reading. I love it.
Right.
So definitely leave us a comment. I'm definitely. That's all I'm saying today, right? Definitely. Leave us some comments, like us, share us, please send us out to all your friends who you want to get into Valiant. Check us out at comicbook.com, 2 Facebook pages, Comic Booked on Facebook, and then 2 Comic Book Dudes, where these videos will be hosted each time or showed as well. So we're out there. We hope just to hear from you. Valiant, I know, is going to be at Baltimore Comic-Con this coming week. So some great stuff there. You can meet up with some of the guys. We'll have a little more information from that on our show coming up this week for Thursday's Valiant Effort. But that's it for us this week. We appreciate you taking the long time this time to watch and listen to all these books. Hopefully you go out and pick some up and make yours Valiant this week.
That's right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a good one.